So Sebastian Fundora has just beaten Tszyu via split decision. Let's be real, it's the elbow. It was because of the bloody elbow on the top of the head, which affected Tszyu's vision from round 3 onwards. Tszyu was absolutely battering him in those first two, to be fair. He was getting to where he wanted to be, shutting down that gap, closing it down, landing some big right hands on Sebastian Fundora. It looked like he was going to finish him. If it wasn't for the elbow, Tszyu would have got him out of there fairly early, in my opinion. It wasn't looking good for Sebastian Fundora. Had his chin high in the air. I'm probably being a bit salty because I really wanted Tszyu to win. But it was because of the elbow, though, wasn't it? It was. But Fundora stuck to the plan where once he elbowed him, he's boxed him up behind the jab, throwing out a good few 1-2s, keeping him at range, did what he needed to do. Tszyu was trying to jump in with a few good body shots. I scored the fight a draw personally. I thought it was quite close. I don't know how it was scored 116 to 112 to Tszyu though. I feel like if there was someone who you'd edge to win, it would be Fundora, but it was because of the elbow though, wasn't it? That's the thing. But I think also is what I've forgotten to mention as well. My Rolly one. Apparently, a judge scored it won that fight to Rolly. Shocking stuff. I had to make another video on that. But yeah, look, overall, Sebastian Fundora did well behind the jab, did what he needed to do in the end, and got a well-deserved win in the end, I guess. Boxed well, fair play to him, but you're going to have to rematch him. Don't go on a fight Errol Spence. You get battered by him. Rematch Tszyu, because that's unfair how that happened. Tszyu's been done dirty there, to be fair. I think the fight should have been stopped anyway and should have been ruled a no contest because that was bad. It was affecting his vision for the whole fight, and Tszyu was simply not the same fighter. Blood was dripping down all across his face. He could not see anything. It was all down his eyes. It was literally, Jesus Christ. It was a really bad one. It literally could not stop running with blood. His head. It could not. It was a real cheeky elbow, to be fair. It's very unfortunate as well that it had to end like that. It was very unfortunate. But yeah, I think Tszyu wins a rematch. I think he does. These only things, they won't happen often, but, it is something that happens, so we'll have to deal with it. But at the end of the day, though, that's the only reason why Fundora ended up winning that fight, and it was because of the elbow. And it just makes it easy for the taller fighter, if something like that happens, to be able to keep you at range, because Tszyu, not being able to see anything, was just being able to walk right into that jab and get his head snapped back. And, that thing, it's a massive advantage for the much taller fighter, Sebastian Fundora, the height bully. Honestly, that's what it should have been stopped. It should have been stopped, in my opinion. It really should have. Because I really do think Tszyu's been done dirty there. It was a real nasty elbow, and the cut was absolutely appalling. If that was anyone like that, should have been stopped. Most of the time, you see those kind of things get stopped. That was absolutely dreadful, affecting his vision and all that, and made him walk into a load of jabs. It literally did not stop. It did not stop. And, you wonder why, look, Sebastian Fundora was all busted up inside 2 rounds. And that was when Tszyu didn't bloody have the massive cut on his forehead. And Tszyu was able to do that. Like, he would have been able to get Sebastian Fundora out of there. His power was getting too much for him. Yes, Fundora was taking some good ones in those early rounds, but it would have been over if that wasn't for the elbow. And Tszyu wasn't able to see. He wasn't able to see the whole fight. He was literally fighting blind. He was literally fighting blind in that fight. It shouldn't have been allowed to go on. It really shouldn't. The doctors should have done something about that, to be fair. But also, Tszyu's cutman should have done better instead of just getting a huge blob of Vaseline and shoving it onto his head. Like, that was shocking stuff. Needed to do a bit better there. Instead of doing the same thing when it clearly wasn't working, because it kept on dripping down every round. So that, you know, shoving a massive blob of Vaseline onto his head clearly didn't work. Should be trying something else to try and stop the blood from going down right into his eyes, affecting him from winning the fight against a taller fighter and making him walk right into his jab. So, yeah, awful from the Cutsman of Tszyu. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but yeah, fair play to Fundora. He worked hard for it. Fair play. He's come off a loss. You know, he proved people kind of wrong, but no, it was the elbow though. I'm sorry I keep going on about it, but that's the reason he won the fight. It is the reason he won the fight. Like, there's no getting away from it. That is the reason why. I've admitted he boxed well when that happened, but he was getting battered in those first 2 rounds. He was. It was clear he was going to be out of there. But no, unfortunately, the elbow hit, and that affected Tszyu. But yeah, it is the reason, though. There's no running away from the fact that the elbow is the reason why he won. He would not have won otherwise. It was clear and obvious to see from the start of that fight. It was. There's no running away from it. It's a fact. But yeah, disappointing at the end of the day. They've got to rematch. They've got to rematch, in my opinion. I really wanted to see Spence and Tszyu. I really wanted to see that fight. But no, it is what it is, I guess. It is what it is. But yeah, blood. These things happen, I guess. I guess they just happen. Elbows and all that. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. Speak to you in a bit.